Okay, ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, good evening.
Hello, everyone.
Good evening. And we are broadcasting today on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook.
Facebook.
Yeah, absolutely. I was like wondering whether we are on Instagram, but
No.
Instagram's got a special engine and it's impossible to, you need to get, special software to broadcast from StreamYard. So
Oh.
welcome. If you there is our friend from Finland. Yeah,
We're 1 minute late. This is not the usual
you
Swiss
are late.
timing
Yeah,
we're
one
used
minute
to.
because I needed to reply. Some SMS. Right. I will check if in LinkedIn is working properly on my phone. No, 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 no.
Good. And as you check, I can say hello to everyone from Switzerland. I'm rarely ever home these
Yeah,
days, so
she's
it's
back.
nice to be home.
She's back now. Perfect. It worked. So it's good.
Excellent. Excellent. We've got Anna here from LinkedIn, so we know we're good in
Perfect.
broadcasting live.
Okay, we have a very interesting theme about success and or happiness and how it works. And I think it's really important because you probably have around you a lot of successful people, but they are not necessarily, happy people, right? And
Oh.
we will touch it, today. And I'll ask Lisa to kick it off, and then I have a lot of notes.
Yes. Me too. I couldn't stop taking
Yeah,
notes for this
absolutely,
theme. I was
absolutely.
like, we need like a whole day for this.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
this theme actually came up at the end of our last session where we talked about, can you really quote have it all? Can you really be successful and can you be happy? Because here's the thing. There is this lie, this disillusionment that we have about what it means to be successful and what it's really like at the top. If you
absolutely.
ask people, they think, oh my God, it's so what living the life if you're the CEO, right? You're the boss, you're the one who gets to make the decisions, you get the glory, you're on TV, you're in the news, you make a lot of money, right? You have all of this power, this authority, people respect you. Man, it must be amazing at the top. How easy is that? By the way, you must have nannies helping at home, right? Life is good if you are successful. And this is why I say this is the lie that we are told. And I almost want to say it's partially due to motivational speakers and the way that leaders present themselves. They have to present themselves confidently. Everything's under control. We've got this. No problem. It's easy. It's under control. I know how to do everything. A motivational speaker. Hey, if anything's hard, you just kick hard in the butt. You can get on with it. Come on, you've got it, right? And so we think, okay, leaders, you just be strong and you've got it and you've got the mental strength around it and you are successful. And the fact of the matter is, leaders are just people, right? They're just the same as you and I are. And they also have feelings. And so the lies that we're told about success and happiness, what they don't often share is how miserable, unhappy, hard, and grueling it is to actually have earned that level of success. Now, we are starting to see celebrities, athletes coming out, right? We've had quite a few celebrities. You'll have to help me out with names. The woman who took herself out of a tournament for her mental health last year, 2 years ago, because she just said, I can't handle the press circuit. I won't do the press circuit. I will not put myself at this sort of mercy of how other people want to criticize me, tell me what I'm doing wrong, give me difficulty. It's too hard for my mental health. I need to take a step back. And we're starting to have this openness because guess what? It's actually extremely difficult to be successful. Those lies, that shininess, that's only the facade. That's the outside that people are trying to sell you on. And I want to talk today about what's the reality of what it takes to be successful. Most of the time, they're not happy. But then, of course, we don't want to leave you in this depressed, miserable state where we say you can have success or happiness and not both. So, we're going to give you some solutions or talk through some ways you can figure out the right balance for you. I have so many more notes, but I want to kick it over to you, Jan, to give your intro and to talk a little bit
yeah,
about, where your head's at.
yeah. And I will start by Abraham Maslow, who passed away 1972, but still his Maslow hierarchy of the human needs is, valid. And I think it has to do a lot of with the team today. See, if you look at the hierarchy of the needs, on the bottom you have things like safety, security, stuff you can buy for the money, basically, right? So if you live, for example, in Africa, money can buy you happiness. If you live in the Western Hemisphere, it's very hard, okay?
Mhm.
Because the other parts of that, hierarchy are like sense of belonging, be with the other people, that social part, okay? Then it's appreciation, self-appreciation, or appreciation by the other people. And on the very top, it's, self-actualization, basically. Have a meaning in your life. And meaning is very much connected with the happiness, okay? uh, I was thinking about what is difference between pleasure and happiness. A lot of my players, like football players, if they score, they are like, "Oh, I'm happy! I'm so happy! I scored 2 goals." It has nothing to do with happiness. It's a pleasure because it's like for now, and tomorrow there'll be another guy scoring whatever, So it's, pleasure. It's very short term. Why the happiness? If you have a meaning in your life, it's for the whole life. And in fact, in my first book, The Positive Leader, I wrote about 4P, structure that, positive leaders, they can be leaders of the organization or they can lead themselves, are people who really understand like what is the best in them and what is the best in the other people. Okay, so they are positive people. They have a positive purpose. They thanks to their talents and passions, they can find meaning in their life. Meaning is a huge, engine in your life. If you find a meaning, then you can have like those 4 positive, energies: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. You spend them, you renew them, and then you live the life where like success and happiness are, in balance. I had a probably the best laboratory to study success and happiness was 10 years with Bill Gates, because at that time he was the richest person in the world. He was one of the most, successful in the world. And in fact, interestingly enough, he started to be very happy when he started to distribute his success, his money, through the foundation to the people who really needed money. One guy, if you are not crazy, you don't need like 150 billion US dollars, right? It's like crazy. You can buy 100 aircrafts or whatever, but it makes no sense. Okay.
Yeah.
And at that time, I figured out that the happiest people are those who can make other people happy through some activity they love. Simply, right? That's the real happiness. That's why I think if you want to be happy, you need that social aspect. You need the other
Yeah.
people. For the pleasure, you can eat chocolate. You can be, addictive to the chocolate, right? And you
Me.
you you can have a pleasure for some time. And it's absolutely fine to have a pleasure, but it's not happiness. People are really, mixing it. Why? Like pleasure is like taking, if you are winning in the lottery, taking some money. Happiness is very much giving, some stuff away, giving it to the other people, right? And what we know now from the hormonal point of view, pleasure is connected to dopamine, and dopamine is like a reward hormone. So it's like, praising you if you do something well. It's like saying, yeah, this is good. And dopamine is motivational, hormone. It's giving you motivation. But unfortunately, if it's, too much, because dopamine, the neurons which are representing dopamines are getting excited. So there's a lot of excitement, and it's simply not enough. Like if you are clicking on the phone, if you are browsing all the time, then like 5 minutes at the beginning, it's okay. You feel good, but in 5 minutes, it's no more enough. Right? So it goes like that, and you getting addicted to dopamine. Right?
Yes.
And dopamine is also connected with what we call in psychology fixed mindset. That those are people usually which are like, hey, I'm the master or I'm the loser, nothing in between. Okay. If I score goals or if I'm successful, fine. The peaks of dopamine are created, but once it's over, I cannot, survive that, failure or whatever. And those people are giving up very soon and so on. Dopamine is, I think dopamine is good servant, but very bad master, if you
Yes.
think about it, right? Very bad master. On the other hand, happiness is connected with serotonin, and it's not about excitement. It's here about like, I really, enjoy what I do. I enjoy the life, and serotonin is more about like journey. Okay, now the issue is, if you work very hard and you have no like breaks and no, rest, whether physical or, mental, very often serotonin is gone and dopamine is gone and you are depressed, right? Because
Yeah.
dopamine, you need dopamine to like get up, in the morning, because it's giving you like energy. Hey, I will, and dopamine is also about your, habits and stuff like that. And the same, like serotonin is good, like, hey, I feel really good. But if it's, too much, those hormones are gone. And then unfortunately, the chronic stress, the cortisol, is taking over. And this is it. And unfortunately, your logical part of the brain is switched off, and your amygdala, the emotional part of the brain, is like streaming negativity. So it goes only after the negative stories and so on, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of the difference between pleasure and happiness. And what I figured out, that happiness has definitely to do with the meaning in your life. Those people who got meaning in their life, they are usually happy because they do what they love, and they have a huge emotional connection to what they
Yeah.
do. And you can love somebody, so it can be like romantical relationship, romantical emotional connection, but you can love also some other activity. I was recently addressing the group, like the group of the managers from J&J, Johnson and Johnson, and I needed to get up like 5 o'clock in the morning. And they asked me some questions. Do you still work so hard even though you are over 60, whatever? I said, I'm not working. I was not getting up, because of you, 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm not doing it because of the people. I do it because I love what I do. This is it, This is
Yes.
it. I love what I do, right? And that's what like keeps me happy, whether I work with the kids, with children, or with some, athletes, or with some people from the business. So that's in the nutshell. And we can obviously talk later on how to figure out your purpose in your life. I have some studies about, happiness, some good book to recommend you to read about happiness, like full of the data, right? So yeah, and the last point, and think about that. More pleasure you have in your life, it is.
I'm so sorry,
Go
my
ahead,
daughter's here.
go ahead,
I'm gonna put myself on mute as you chat. Actually, I don't know how to do that.
I
Hang
can.
on.
Well, I can't put you on the mute. I can, maybe I can. So I will mute you.
Thank you.
Okay, she needs to do some, parenting. No, guys, what I figured out, that more pleasures you have in your life, usually you are, less happy. I explain what I mean. There are some people in the world who are like buying a lot of cars, or a lot of nice dresses or stuff like that. And more you have a lot of that stuff, the pleasure is shorter, obviously, and you are less happy. And then
I
you are
I
you are
figured out how to unmute myself. Thanks,
okay.
everyone.
No, you
Thank
should be. You should be able to do it. I can, do it for you, but you should be able to do it. No, what I said, Lisa, that more pleasure you have in your life, you are less happy. Pleasure is good, but
Agreed.
if you are like addicted, I explain what I mean by that. Okay, if you have some nice Swiss chocolate like Lindt, for example, okay,
It's my favorite,
to
but
pay tribute
90% dark chocolate.
to
Okay.
pay tribute to Switzerland, to Lisa's country. First piece tastes really good. Second piece, it's still good, and if like five or fifth or sixth piece, it's like, oh, it's not that good. So that's exactly. So it's really like dropping, down, right?
Yes. Law
Because
of diminishing returns.
exactly, law of diminishing returns. Because if you are so much attached to the results and to that, the pleasure, you are not, very happy, right? That's what some studies are saying, but I realized that also on some, different examples.
But this is what's so important, Jan, that people misunderstand. This is like the myths of being successful automatically makes you happy. Well, hey, if you have more money, you can buy lots of cool
Yeah,
stuff. I have plenty of clients who have their own private jets, who stay at the Ritz-Carlton, right? They have all this great stuff. It doesn't really do it for them. The pleasure is not there. This first time you're in a five-star hotel, that's great. The 17th
yeah,
time, the 100th time, that's just normal, right? So law of diminishing returns, buying more stuff, getting more fancy things, having more money, it doesn't really bring any pleasure anymore. And this is really the lie or the myth about success. If you're doing success to try to impress others, to try to receive famous, to become famous, to try to receive money to buy these fancy things, it's never enough. The dopamine runs out and you try to get bigger and more and more and more to get those bigger dopamine hits because they're pleasure. They're not happiness. They're not
exactly.
fulfilling.
Yeah,
And the more you try and the more you seek, the more empty you feel, the more let down you feel. This is what I mean when I say the disillusionment of success. This is why so many millennials, by the way, they do research, millennials, Gen Z, not interested in becoming CEO anymore. And
yeah,
that's part of the reason. It's not worth it. I don't care about the pleasure. I want the happiness in life. I want some meaning. I want some greater purpose, right? I care about the environment, or I care about, I don't know, gender, right? I have a cause
mm,
that I want to stand up for. I have my life, I have my kids, I have my freedom, I have my partner, I have travel, I have stuff that I want that's no longer the dopamine hit and the, showing others how great I am. So this illusion of the reasons that people used to try to have success, where they wanted more pleasure and they wanted to convince other people that they were worthy and good enough, it doesn't fly anymore. It's not the same as it used to be. And oh, sorry, go ahead.
no, yeah, you are absolutely right. And the a lot of people think that, once I will be successful, my success can be like 100 million US dollars, whatever, right? Beyond that point, I will be automatically happy, and it doesn't work like that. Happiness is not like one point, it's the journey, it's the way, right? And there is a book from Tal Ben Shahar, who used to lecture positive psychology at Harvard. It was the most attended lesson in the whole history of Harvard, and the book name is Happier. It's not happiness, but happier. Okay, yeah, you can be happier every day because it's a process. And there is like one, like key picture when he talks about those people who are most happy. They are like happy now, but they are also optimistic for the future, because there is a lot of people who are like, it's called rat race, right? You are like, hey, I'm not happy now, but I know that once I will have more money, I'll be, happy from that point on. And it doesn't work like that, right? So,
No.
and again, there is nothing, success is a great thing, but success without the fulfillment is failure, basically. All right. If you have a success in something you hate, you will not be happy. And there's no way you can be happy, right? It needs to fulfill you, right? Because otherwise, if you are like only in the race to get, more money, it's absolutely fine to make a lot of billions, provided that you do it through your meaning, something you really love, whether it can be software, it can be medicine, whatever, right? It can be that you are
Yes.
great athlete, right? But
Yes.
I think this emotional connection is key, because if you don't like it, to do it just for the money, it will not, work. And you rightly said there is a lot of kids attending our seminars, and very rarely, sometimes it's true, but I would say it's less than 10% of those kids are saying, I would like to be architect because I will make a lot of money. The young generation thinks really a little bit, those are kids like 13, 14, 15 years old, sometimes younger, right? So it's quite interesting.
Yes. And this is the thing, you described it so nicely. Here's what happens. You start down a path. Maybe your parents convinced you to be a doctor or a lawyer, right? You got
Yeah.
kind of got some social pressure. You thought, I'd be an architect because it's stable or it makes me money. There are
Yeah.
still lots of people who did that or have done that. And they start to go down a path. They did a lot of schooling. They make a lot of money. They started a lifestyle. Hey, now I bought my home. I maybe bought a second home. I bought a boat. They start accumulating stuff. I send my kids to private school. I have a Porsche, whatever it is. And all of a sudden they go, oh my gosh, I have golden handcuffs now. What golden handcuffs are is I need to stay in my role that pays me a lot of money, even though I'm not fulfilled. I'm completely unhappy. I hate it. But I have a lifestyle that I need to maintain now. I have kids I have to think about, a mortgage I have to think
Yeah.
about, and they stay stuck. Staying stuck because you're in golden handcuffs, meaning you think you need that money, that salary in order to maintain this lifestyle,
Absolutely.
is one of the worst ways that you could spend your life. You're successful. Everybody looks at your LinkedIn profile and says, amazing. Wow, you're the vice president of such and such. Wow, you're at a great company. Whoa, you're a Novartis, you're Pfizer, you're whatever, Google. Amazing. And that is nice. And a dopamine hit comes. You pat yourself on the back. Wow, I'm so accomplished. People like me. People invite me to come and speak. But again, it is not fulfilling you. When you read about the 5 regrets of the dying, so it was a palliative care nurse who was
Yeah.
helping people who were on their deathbed. The number one regret, we talk about it a lot, but you got to keep this in mind. The number one regret is I lived my life for other people to meet their expectations, to impress them, and I didn't do it for myself. So I want you all to think, if you know when you're 90, on your deathbed, if this is the thing you're going to regret, you still have time now. I don't think anyone listening to us today is 90 on their deathbed. It's just a guess. You still have time. You're probably 30, 40, 50, 60. You have time. Fix it now.
Absolutely.
Fix it now. And I want to, I don't know how to gently bring this up, so I'm just going to bring this up in a
Yeah.
non-gentle way. Most of the people who are very successful, really drawn to work hard, do the grind, get where they are, put themselves out there, most of that comes from a negative motivation. I give you famous examples. I won't even do it in business. Matthew Perry, who was Chandler on Friends, he just published his book pretty recently about his addiction problems. He's mega famous. He's an A-list celebrity, been on a show that's, 25 years later, still incredibly popular. He still makes royalties. He's got, I don't know, 125 million or something he's estimated to be worth. He has everything, right? And in the book, he details all the women he got to be with too. So he has everything. And yet it wasn't enough, because in his childhood, he felt abandoned. He had a hole in him, and he tried to fill it with fame, with fortune, with attention. He tried to say, if I achieve this, then I will feel worthy. I will feel included. I will feel good enough. And guess what? He reached his fame. He went peak famous. He's #1 TV show, #1 box office movie. He's really successful. And he realized the problem is within me. The problem doesn't get solved by being successful and famous. It doesn't bring emotional happiness. And this is something many people do. Even Bono recently was talking. He's the, lead singer at U2. Very famous, very successful, popular.
Irish guy. Yeah.
Yes, amazing. Does tons of work for AIDS and really is a person who gives back.
He was a very good friend with Bill Gates, Bono. They were visiting each other. I know
There you
even his
go.
house in close to Dublin by the sea. Yeah.
How cool. And well, what Bono admits, his mother died when he was young. His father decided we never talk about it. His dad barely paid him any attention. The only thing that his dad really cared about was a singing career for himself, for the
Yeah.
dad. But the dad wasn't brave enough to actually go out. So Bono was like, okay, great, then I'm going to prove. I'm going to show him. I get his attention. And he obviously got quite famous. And even to the day his dad died, right? His dad came to a concert and was like, didn't even give him the satisfaction of saying, amazing, wonderful, look how far you've come. He just said, that was a nice concert. Right. So again, pushing hard, having success because you want to fill a hole inside of you, because you want to be noticed or loved or good enough, success does not bring that. It's very important to understand why people struggle to be successful and happy. And it's because they're pursuing success for the wrong reasons. When you pursue it for money, when you pursue it for attention, when you pursue it to be good enough, when you pursue it thinking, I will be whole again, if only, that's never going to bring you happiness. What Jan alluded to, what he said is, you have to go find the things that fulfill you. And that is very hard to do because society wants to put you down one path. But that's what the reason we're having this conversation today is, however we can support you and help you in finding what you love, what you're good at, what you care about. That is the key to success and happiness.
Yeah. We have some comment.
Yeah. I'll read it. Doing what you love and what has a meaning for you is real success. After 5 years of living in the happiest country in the world, I can confirm that the majority of Finns love what they do in all aspects. Absolutely. Finland, Switzerland is also often rated high on the happiness scale. You find what you love, you find what you're good at, you find what's meaningful for you, right?
And here is an interesting point. Both Switzerland and Finland are one of the most competitive countries in the world, because very often when I started to talk about happiness as an economical driver for the economical success, people were like, hey, this is touchy-feely stuff, it's really not about the business. No, it is about the business, right? Because you can tie it, happiness and people, like how people are fulfilled with what they do, to economical success of the country, right? Like Czech Republic, I think majority of the people, they don't like what they do. I mean, I'll be very honest. And the Czech competitiveness, it's more or less stable for 20 years. We didn't really move. There are still people like assembly lines, and now there's this discussion about pensions, and nobody talks about productivity, how to increase productivity. You will not increase productivity by assembly lines. You need to create digital economy, improve educational system. It will take some time, but this is what Finland did and Switzerland is doing, for sure. So there is a clear coherence right between like happiness and economical success. Absolutely. Even though I must say that there are some countries, like less fortunate countries in Africa, and their happiness is, or in South America, and their happiness is quite high because they simply like the life, and for them, they can still buy for the money. They can buy because they are not fulfilled yet the basic needs. It's something different, right? But yeah, that's a good comment.
Yes, we've got another one as well.
Yeah.
What is very important to me, I need to do physical activities, running, swimming, working out. In a way, it is painful, but it clears your mind and helps you to be successful, happy, and full of energy. Yes, Jan and I will fully support this.
I did. Look, today it's like 15 kilometers so far, right? 10 running, 5 walking, right? So absolutely. So I did all 3 rings like in the morning already.
Amazing.
No, I mean, look, sport and like moving is essential for your brain. How new synapses are created. It's good for your body, but it's good also for happiness, because if you do some sport, endorphins are released and you feel good, right? I mean, look, thanks to like running in the morning, or I do 1.5 hour activities in the morning, I have a lot of people think that I'm like, I have less energy because I was running. No, I have more energy. In fact, I'm like pumped up, right? I can do, lessons for, 8 hours and this is it, obviously after that activity, you are tired and you need to have a rest. But I absolutely agree. The physical activities are essential.
I agree. And I also, this goes to the sort of the next part of the conversation, which is we talked at a very high level. You need to find something that you love. But really, on the day to day practical level, there are things you need to do, even if you're doing what you love. You can still find it difficult to be happy because it is hard work. So there are certain very practical, tactical things you can do on a daily basis. One of them, the biggest one, is about managing energy, physical energy. You
Yeah.
need to have exercise, you need to have good nutrition, you need to have sleep, right? We need those things in order to have enough energy to then go and do the work we love. Otherwise, we won't be successful, or we'll be so tired we can't enjoy it.
Right.
Right? And there are other things that fall into that list of why it's so hard on a general daily level to be practical, to be successful and happy. For me, the most important thing on this list, we need to talk about, yes, Ivana says
Yeah.
sports
Or
is an
what the
energy
energy.
booster. That's
No,
right.
I mean, I would not survive all of those long sessions in Microsoft or what I do now. Come on, I sometimes work still 10 hours a day, right? Doing lessons. And it's a very, they measure me a couple of weeks ago. I did like, presentation for 3 hours and then some seminars. So it was all together like 7 hours net time. Okay.
Yeah.
And they said that it was like running 2 marathons in the row, 3.5 hours per marathon, right? The energy wise, it's
Yeah.
huge, but
Yeah.
but absolutely, yeah. And what Lisa said about those things, right? In general, our brain doesn't like change and doesn't like learning. Our brain likes status quo because it's like pattern recognition machine, and for that, learning is a lot of, there's a lot of metabolic, taxation, if you will. It's a lot of, metabolism is spent, a lot of energy is spent on those things because your brain is predicting or correcting, and if it needs to correct, it needs to learn, it costs you energy. On the other hand, you can really make, learning like your addiction. For me, really, I need to learn something new every day, every day, every day. Okay. And so now, how you can do it? Once we said brain doesn't like learning, doesn't like change because brain likes status quo. On the other hand, learning is essential, right? To be like
Right.
out of the comfort zone, to be happy. You need to learn. And there you can use your curiosity. Everybody on the call was born as a very curious person. Okay. And then sometimes our parents or other caregivers, like in the school or whatever, they kill that curiosity because the school is not about asking new questions. It's about, you are learning how to answer questions, right? But because of the neuroplasticity, you can get curious again, now. You just start to read something very new. Like I'm not saying I'm expert in neuroscience, but I'm good, like, I think I'm quite well educated beginner, if I would say, right? And it's just from, YouTube. 3 years ago, before COVID, I had very little knowledge about that. And you can now, thanks to YouTube, you can learn from the best, and you can learn very fast. And if you will make that learning, the part of your life, and you will be like curious, it's also good for you because curious people are less stressful, right? Because
Yes.
what is stress? Fight, flee, or escape, or sorry, escape, it's flee or freeze. Okay, fight, flee, or
So,
freeze. Okay. Why curiosity is much, broader view on the things. Hey, I can do that, right? So I think curiosity is one point, and then maybe now we can touch the meaning. Okay. There are, I think we mentioned those books, but let's mention them again. Probably Lisa will add more. There's
yeah.
a great book from Viktor Frankl, who survived a couple of Nazi camps. It was a Jewish psychiatrist, and he wrote a book, The Man's Search for Meaning. And basically, Frankl is saying if you have a meaning in your life, you can survive everything, and nobody can take from you your mind. Your mind is very powerful. They cannot take it from you. It's a very powerful tool. And the second book is from Clay Christensen, How You Will Measure Your Life. It's another, book I would recommend. And the kind of the philosophy of the book is around following story. He's saying that if you will come to the heaven or whatever, somewhere, someplace after we die, they will not ask you about your pleasures. How many cars, how many, what you said, how many, women, whatever, how many titles. But they will ask you, how many people did you help in your life? Okay.
Yeah.
And this is it. Because, if you help some other people through the activity you like, then you are very happy automatically. And especially if they appreciate you, whatever. Okay. So I was thinking about what would be the tool for how to help people to find a meaning. And in the book, the Positive Leader, I talk about three things. You need to find who you are. You need to find your talents. Okay, I'm using like Gallup Strengths Finder. You can use some other tests or whatever. Talents are usually things which are giving you energy, and those are talents are more or less our genes. Okay, it's like genetic information we are getting from the previous generation. So the first circle, it's your talents. Okay, this is who you are. It goes like, this is my talents, this is who I am. And then you should check what are your passions. Okay, what are your passions? And when it's clicking with your talents, those are times when you are in the flow, when you have like optimal performance and you like what you do. But flow, it's about you. It's not about the other people, unless it's like in some team. But if you are alone, it's about you. Okay. And then so it's basically talents, but your passions. That's the flow. And the third circle are your personal values, because your personal values are reflecting what you admire in the other people. So you can take 5 people, one thing per each person, and those are your personal values. And this is the social aspect. So which means like my flow, helping other people, those are your personal values. And personal values, if you are, for example, leader, are good also for your organization, because it's like those are the maintenance of your organization, the personal values of the leader. For example, whatever was my size of my organization, whether it was like 4 people at the beginning or many thousand people afterwards, I always told them, hey, fairness is my first value, and I will treat everybody fair. And if you will feel it's not like that, just come to me and we can talk about it. Right? So your personal values are giving other people some in some way. You are more predictable if they know that those are your personal values, right? Because if our brain likes predictability, and it's the same with the brains of other people. Okay, we don't need to agree all the time with each other. Well, I think we are both predictable. What will be our stance? So I will not be surprised if you will disagree with me. I'll be not surprised. And obviously, like with my wife, she's sitting down watching TV. It's like 41 years. She's always in disagreement with me. Almost always. It's a very complementary relationship. Okay. She told me, by the way, she's mixing pleasure and happiness all the time. She told me recently, she said, like, I have a new dress and I'm very happy, because I said, well, you will be, it's a pleasure, and you will have this pleasure for a couple of days. Then it will be the new dress. Happiness, it's about having a right man for 41 years. Not necessarily, but anyway.
Yes.
I didn't know. I learned that you can be addicted to the fashion, basically. That you can buy like new stuff and new stuff.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Hello, that's the American shopping value. That's what we do when we're happy, when we're sad. Yes, we shop and eat our emotions. When we're happy, when we're sad, whatever it is, we want that dopamine hit. We go shop. We're consumers. I love everything you're saying. Actually, in case anyone's listening and curious to know, my number one value is kindness. So above everything else, if people aren't super successful, if they whatever, but kindness, be respectful.
But come on, you are from New York. You are from New York. It's very hard to survive with kindness in New York.
Don't misunderstand. I know how to elbow out if I need.
You know how to survive in New York.
I can absolutely survive anywhere. You should see my New York Lisa when it comes out. Even my husband's like, oh, I'm scared of New York Lisa. I mean, but it's exactly that where I say it's not who I want to be. Yeah. Right. I think that, so much of our lives, we have to be flexible and adaptable to the situation as it's coming up. But when we can choose, who do we want to be? How do we feel the most authentic? Where are we happiest in fulfilling our goals? We have to figure out what's most important to us.
Yeah. Stanislav is saying, I love doing music, but working out makes me feel better about myself and I learn discipline through it. Absolutely. But music is also good for your brain, like the rhythm and to get to the alpha frequency. So if I meditate, I sometimes use some meditation music on my phone, and that's whatever are your habits, it's good to have them because it's like helping you with the discipline and improving yourself, whether it's music or physical exercise or whatever, right? What they now even figure out that that's what Andrew Huberman is saying, that if you move at least 30 minutes, like faster walking, right, a little bit faster walking, 30 minutes, the function of your brain is improving in general by 30%. Yes.
It's really important. And I want to stop here because music is actually really important. But I almost in my head, this is a false differentiation, but in my mind, it helps me to be clear. There are times when I need to be physical, first of all, on a regular basis, just to keep the energy flowing, to get the stress out. But music is very much tied to emotionality. Music, like artwork, is a way to express yourself and get out what you're feeling beyond words. And this is very important because some of the times the stress or the pressure, it's physical. We need to get it out.
Absolutely.
But sometimes the pressure is just like, I don't know the right decision to make. And I'm kind of freaking out because everybody's looking at me and I'm going to be responsible. And if I don't, restructure the organization properly and people are going to lose their jobs and we're going to lose money and we're, the stock's going to crash. And there's just a lot of stuff going on. Sometimes we need to have an outlet for the emotions. One of the best things I've actually been having clients do lately, if you can believe this, is dancing. But not like ballroom dancing. They're not learning how to tango, but they're learning how to completely let go with the body. So sort of closing your eyes and doing sort of that weird stuff.
It's like jazz in music. It's like jazz, improvising.
Yes, and you get it out. So you have the physicality of walking, running, etc., but you also have the emotional release of just, physically trying to get out the emotions. And it sounds silly, but I invite all of you, the next time you're feeling a little stressed, maybe not in the office, I don't know what your office is like, but maybe at home, just put on some music. It can be, happy music, sad music, dance music, meditation music, whatever suits your mood, and just sort of move around and get it out. If you can release physical and emotional at the same time, you can start to release the pressure. Releasing pressure is so important to being successful and happy because almost inevitably, almost always, when you're in a successful role, it's a very high pressure role, high visibility role. The stakes are quite high. People are watching you. People are judging you. They're leaving mean comments for you on Instagram. And so you need places to get this out in order to continue to have the strength and the courage to keep showing up.
Absolutely. In sport, this is interesting what you said, because in sport, the best athletes, whether it's tennis, football, whatever, skiing, they are like loose but aggressive, right? They have a loose body, but they can be like very aggressive, especially like in tennis. For example, in tennis, what they figure out that if you are on return and your jaws are like like that, right? It's like that means for your brain, hey, something is not right, and cortisol is released. So they are saying you should have like release, maybe a little bit open mouth, like that, right? And it's the same in golf, And I realized that in golf, for example, my swing was good, but it was not great because I was so much like tight, right? But if you are loose, in Czech uvolněný, right? So if you are loose, I think it's easier, right? Because for example, what talking, Lisa is based in Switzerland, so let's talk about Federer. Okay, if you look at Rafael Nadal, and Federer, I think Rafael Nadal was playing like he was very like strained all the time. Okay, but Rafa was always, when they were like finishing, Rafa was like full of clay, whatever, right, dirty. And Federer socks were even not dirty. He was like white, everything.
So
like,
Swiss.
It was like Prince Charles or King Charles, right? But it has to do with his style, because he was really like aggressive but very loose. Yeah, like, right, when he was like going to hit the ball, it was like loose, but then he was very aggressive, right? And this is it. That's why he was so good. That's number one. Number two, he was doing in his childhood professionally football and basketball, and it gave him very good footwork, basically. And in tennis, footwork is everything, right? It's like the base, right? So but you are right, because we need in our lives, you need to like concentrate and then have a rest and concentrate. It's even if you are breathing, it goes like you breathing in, and your sympathicus, your nerve system, it's like tension, and then there is a release if you breathe out, right? Tension and a release. This is it. Even like our breathing, it's like that. And this is interesting point. If we are kids, we are able to breathe properly. That's Mother Nature, is basically securing that. More and more we are adult, we are like sitting and we are not breathing properly. I give you one point, right? Majority of the people, if they are like sitting, very often they are like sleepy, and so on, because they are not breathing properly. They are like breathing in and they are like breathing out like that. If you do it for a couple of minutes, your blood is with very low, level of oxygen, and then it's gone. The breathing out is as much as important as breathing in, because if your breathing out is short, then hemoglobin is not having enough CO2 to do the job, to distribute O2 in your blood, and you are tired, basically. That's why you are falling asleep. Sometimes it's so bullshit what it's talk about, that it's because of that. But content, sometimes it's content, right?
Well, today I was facilitating a leadership team, and I made them stand up for an hour because I was like, nobody's sleeping on my watch. I think that's so right. I mean, this is part of, we really want to identify what are the challenges to being successful and happy, and then what are the solutions. And we talked a bit about them: pressure and stress, lots of decisions you have to make. It's a lot of uncertainty. If you're the leader, you're the boss, you're the person in charge, people come to you with problems. They don't come to you with nice solutions and easy stuff. They come to you with the stuff they can't solve. So all day long, it's heavy, it's hard, it's problems. It might be negative, it's uncertain, right? So all of this stuff that I'm about to list, we need to be able to have ways to shake it off, or we'll just drown under the burden of it all. So it's this pressure, this stress, this constant uncertainty and negativity, the judgment and the spotlight, right? Even Jeff Bezos used to say, every time he speaks, he's still very nervous. You'd think, oh my God, billionaire, richest guy in the world, like, what's he got to be nervous about? But he knows everybody's listening.
He's not the richest, because he got divorced.
Okay, that's true.
There is a learning. If you want to be the richest person in the world, Don't get, divorced, because it's
I
like
hope your wife is
it's
listening.
half, the best case scenario. Both of those guys, Gates and Bezos, they are divorced, but still they are doing fine. Don't worry.
We won't talk about Elon Musk's personal life.
No.
But the fear of judgment, this, we've talked about it in many of our sessions. FOPO, the fear of other people's opinions.
Yep.
It's so scary for us as humans. So there's this extra pressure. Everybody's watching, everybody's judging. They're going to put mean comments on social media about you. And it feels so lonely. So why it's so hard to be successful and happy, the loneliness. You can't tell your employees, I really don't know what to do. I'm not sure. I'm really scared about the market, right? You're not going to go out and say, I don't know what I'm doing. So who are you going to talk to? Oftentimes, you can't talk to the people below you. You can't talk to the people above you. Yeah. Most people have supportive partners to an extent, but they don't really understand what you do. So who can you go to? It's very lonely. And you have to sacrifice a lot.
There is a naughty question for you.
We have a quick question here about, that's slightly off topic, but how's the podcast situation and how many graphic designers have been fired so far? I'm going to answer this, Mihai, with one of my tips for how to make sure you can be successful and happy. One of my biggest tips is say no to a lot of stuff. So Jan and I said, yes, we really want to do this podcast. I started engaging some graphic designers. I had some challenges. I thought I was going to have a new assistant who was going to come in and help us with all of this. All of that didn't work out, and I had to prioritize because I could be up. I could work 15 hours a day, every day, be super successful. We could have a podcast. I could be on 17 different podcasts of other ones. We could be promoting. I could be writing a book, right? On and on and on. The problem with wanting to be successful is there's never an end to things you could and should be doing. So at some point, you have to start drawing lines and saying no. That being said, I do actually really want to make this podcast. I will reprioritize it. I promise to you, Jan. I fired 2 graphic designers so far, in case you're keeping count. Not really fired, but it didn't work out. We had creative differences. Yeah. But I think it's really important to say no often, even to really good opportunities. It's hard for us to say no or to not feel guilty. Like, oh, but I should be doing that. I can tell you right now, I say no to most speaking engagements I get invited to. The reason is I just don't want to travel a lot. I don't want to be away a lot. I sometimes find it boring to talk about the same topics over and over and over. So does it hurt my business? Yes. Does it, make me lose money because I'm not picking up on the engagements? Yes. Is it a choice I have to make to maintain a balance? That's also important for me, as I have, as you saw, young kids that, need to be taken care of and need to have time, quality time.
Yeah.
So we need to say no. The other thing that's really important, as we're sort of wrapping up and running out of time almost, Jan hinted at this as well. When you think about your career, a lot of times people think it's one journey and I have to work hard and it feels really long. I would really actually recommend thinking about your career in sprints. So when you think about the energy that's needed, how much you have to do, you can work, okay, I only have to power through for 2-3 years. And then I can slide back or go in a different direction, right? Jan, as you said in our last session, you worked really hard. You got very far at Microsoft, right? Retired chairman of Microsoft Europe. Yeah. Amazing. And then you found your secondary career of things that you love. Don't think I only can go down this one path. Think of it as little spurts. Nowadays, you can switch careers multiple times.
No, this is absolutely right. And then what I share with my people, and I think I was quite good in it, there will be days in your career, they will be much more important than the other days. Okay. It's kind of the Olympic games of your life. I'll explain what I mean. For people in Microsoft, it was probably the time when Bill Gates was coming to the subsidiary. And if you were in subsidiary like Czech Republic, he was there quite often because there were some conferences, whatever. But in general, he would come in the country like Czech Republic once in, say, 3 to 4 years. That was the chance for you if you were like in management team to present to Bill Gates, right? And you had probably 10-15 minutes to show who you are, what you do, and whether you are good or whatever, right? And I said, guys, you need to be ready like for the Olympic Games. Those are your Olympic Games, okay? For the managers, it was usually what we call mid-year reviews. It was like at the mid of the fiscal year, we presented our results and so on. And I was really like getting ready like for the Olympic Games always. Even when I was there only like for 15 years, part of the leadership team, but I was still working very hard to be like, ready, right? If you will figure out when are those key days or who are those, key people, then you can be very successful, because there are some people and some events which can influence your career much more than the others. If you are athlete, it's fine to be the champion of the Czech Republic, but if you are winning Olympic Games, you have much bigger, maybe even global sponsors and so on. It's absolutely different life, right? Obviously, it's a lot of work to be Olympic Games winner, but this is it, right?
Yes, and that's it. Focus, prioritize. The 80-20 rule. 20% of your time is going to make up 80% of your success. So really hyper prioritize. Don't burn yourself out doing all this extra stuff. Cut out what isn't as important, or do less, right? Still show up. You still have to deliver stuff, but do you have to constantly over deliver on everything? Really start to ask yourself that. Another really important tip that I want to share before we go is please remove energy takers from your life. I stopped reading the news for the most part. It didn't do me any good. I'm very sensitive to events. I felt bad for all of the people who were suffering. I felt bad when there was a war. I felt bad with COVID. I just felt bad. I couldn't do anything about most of it, right? So I literally added no value from reading it, but I lost value.
Sure.
So I can still, donate money to Ukraine. I still know what's happening more or less, right? So it doesn't stop me from being able to take action positively when it moves me, but it takes away negativity. Same with getting rid of people who are energy takers. Even if it's your parents or your sister or cousin, try to minimize how much you're going to allow for them to take your energy, because this will allow you to be, again, happy, positive. Those people who are going to try to hold you back, don't quit your stable job. Don't find the thing you're passionate about. They're going to try to suck you back in.
There is a one, like on your co-workers, people you would like to work with. I have a good advice, right? Work with the people. I'm always saying I like to work with the people who like to work with me. Because if somebody is after me at the social networks, I was stupid enough to try to help like for 2-3 hours, sending some studies, whatever. And then I said, this guy, his only like goal is to piss me off, right? And this is it. And I said, come on, right? It makes no sense for me. I can understand this, how this can help you to make generate more traffic, but it cannot help me. So bye. And since that time, it's like, yeah, if there's some occasion like that, I don't answer.
Choose to engage, work with the people who want to work with you, where you can make your biggest impact.
And it doesn't mean if that critique is constructive critique and make me better, I am more than happy to take it. It's not like nobody should criticize me, no, not at all. But if somebody is saying you are stupid, right, because you like, there was a one guy, you are using too much hands and you look like a stupid. Okay, it's me, I work with my hands, right? Here it's not that visible, but if I speak and something, I use my hands, absolutely, that's me.
Yeah, but this is why I mean when I say I go back to my first value of kindness. There's a way of giving feedback. There's a way to do it that can come from kindness. Kindness doesn't mean polite or
No,
avoiding conflict, but it means coming from a place of caring and compassion. This is my last note that I want to share with you all, although I have so many others. It's really important if you want to be successful and happy. So many times we feel I'm not enough. I'm not good enough. I got far, but look what that person's doing. Look what that person's
right.
doing. And the success becomes a burden and a guilt. So please stop comparing yourself to other people. Enjoy your path, enjoy your journey, and practice self-compassion. Kristen Neff wrote a great book on self-compassion. Find a way to forgive yourself. You will not always be perfect. You will not always achieve exactly what you wanted. Decisions will not always go the way that you want. But if you live under the burden of things that have gone wrong, you will never be successful and happy. You need to figure out how to forgive yourself and let it go. That way you can enjoy and celebrate the successes that you have, not just feeling, I need to be
Absolutely.
better.
And for me, I prepare something for you. If you want to be happy and successful,
Be more of who you are.
absolutely, absolutely, because there's nobody else on all other rows are taken, you know. So the person you talk mostly all the time, it's you, you know, right? So this is important. So I mean, if you will start to like who you are and figure out who you really are, what you like, you will like yourself more and more, but you will be also happier because you will make other people happy, right? It works like that.
Exactly. We've got the snowball effect here.
Absolutely.
Um, Unfortunately, we're already at time, but I love the comment that Barbara has left us. Maybe this is a
I
good
will
note
put
to
it
end on.
on.
Yes.
Here we go. Thanks, Barbara.
For me, very important was to understand and accept that I can be the negative person in somebody's story and it is okay because we are all in different stages and situations, and even that can somehow help to form the person. Take every moment as a learning part of your journey. Learn how to let stuff go and enjoy the ride to your success.
Absolutely. Okay.
Thanks,
So
everyone.
thanks, everyone. Good night, and we see you in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks. See you then. Take care.
Bye.